Okay, so now we're going to solve for the friction force or the push force. So, let's see. They definitely have to give you the coefficient. Unless you're working backwards from like a net force or something. So they probably will give you the coefficient in the simpler ones that's how it works. So they'll give you the coefficient and then, let's see, and then they'll give you the weight or the mass. And remember, if you have the mass, you can calculate the weight using F equals ma. And once you've got that, you pretty much have everything you need for friction force, because the friction force formula is, for kinetic friction anyway, Fk equals mu k times Fn. So if they give you the coefficient, that's this part, if they give you the mass or the weight, you can get to normal force because weight is the same as normal force. So you can calculate the friction force over here. So that would be all you needed for that. If you want to get the F push from that, they would need to tell you its constant velocity, or they need to give you the acceleration. If they give you the acceleration, that would be a more complicated one. Then you could work back and calculate net force. And from that, you could work back. That one would just be a lot more complicated. We'll get to that in another video. But for right now, if they tell you constant velocity, then you know that friction and F push have to be the same. So no matter what, you'll be able to figure out friction. And once you have friction, if it's constant velocity, you basically have F push because they have to match to balance everything out. So this one feels a lot simpler than the last one. So let's go do a couple examples. Okay, so first, the coefficient of friction between a box and the ground is 0.6. That is important. Let's write it down. So we'll just go with mu k. If they don't tell you what kind of friction you're talking about, just pick one. The math works out the same. So mu k is 0.6. They gave me that. The box weighs 40 newtons. So weight equals 40 newtons. And that also tells me Fn. So Fn is also 40 newtons because those two have to be the same. So now, what is the force of friction? Oh, here. Okay. What is the force of friction? Fk is the one that I don't know, so I'm going to have to calculate that. So then remember, identify any formulas you need. Okay, so Fk, that is the one I don't know. Mu k, 0.6, I have that. Fn, I have that, so I'm good to go. Once you have all those things, just go plug them in. And let me get my calculator. 24. So friction is 24 newtons. Okay, and that's all it was asking for. It wanted the force of friction, so that's it. I gave you enough information. You're able to calculate the friction force. Oh, there's a shortcut. Okay, let's go try another one. So the coefficient of friction, they gave you that, 0.8. So let me write that down. This one, it says the car is moving, so I'm going to go with mu k for sure. 0.8. The car weighs 19,600 newtons, so I'll write that down also. And then remember that tells me normal force, because they have to be the same. Then it's asking what is the force required. So that's a fancy way of saying what is F push. So I don't know F push. Then moving at a constant speed. So constant speed. Okay, remember that this is a secret way of telling me that F okay, we're talking about Fk, is the same as Fpush. Because for it to be constant, everything needs to balance. The up and down balance, the weight and normal force, and then the right and left have to balance. So Fk has to match Fpush. So, next is formulas. Next, let's see, I already have the weight, so I don't need F equals ma. That's the only time I've ever needed that. So I'm going to need my friction formula. So Fk, well, I know it's Fpush. Well, let's see. Do I know Fk? No, I don't know Fk. Then mu k, I've got that is 0.8, and the normal force is 19,600 newtons. Okay, so I kind of got started before I remembered that we were looking for Fpush. But it still works the same way. You want to figure out what you can figure out because you're most likely going to need it. So I plugged in everything into the formula that I knew I'd have to use, and I'm able to calculate something. So from that, I'm going to go calculate what Fk is, and then I'll get back to what my goal was. So 0.8 times 19,600. Okay, so I figured out Fk now, right here. And then remember I just said that Fk is the same as Fpush, so I know that Fpush is this 15,680. And it helps to have a picture. I didn't draw that here, but because I would go back and label my Fk, and I would see that Fk and Fpush have to balance each other. So I know that this is the same as Fpush right here. And that's what they're looking for. They wanted what is the force.